Hello, it's day 178, and I want to talk about volume eating. Volume eating is one of those rare diets that I never actually went on, and I'm not really sure why. Because as far as fad diets go, volume eating is probably one of the most down to earth and easy to implement. But despite that, I have done a lot of research on it. And from my research, I found that there's two main styles of volume eating. On the one hand, you have volume eating that encourages you to eat a lot of low calorie foods. The idea is that you're filling up the space in your stomach with usually vegetables that are high in water content and high in cellulose. So think like lettuce or celery, things that are very low in calorie but will make you feel full because they're physically taking up a lot of space. And the other method of volume eating involves restricting the amount of food you eat down to a certain benchmark. A lot of times they'll use their fist as the benchmark. You can eat as much food as like the size of your fist. Or they'll use like special tiny plates or like special tiny bowls or cups. The idea is you can fill your tiny bowl up with whatever you want. If you want a tiny bowl full of ice cream for this meal, go for it. If you want chicken, if you want rice, you can put whatever you want in that bowl, but you can't exceed the size of the tiny bowl or the tiny plate. And while this method is incredibly restrictive, it does allow for some of the tenets of intuitive eating. Like, you do have to ask yourself every meal, I have to make this meal count, so what do I really want? Do I want ice cream? Do I want chicken? If either of these methods of volume eating sound familiar to you, it's probably because a lot of diets use these methods in some way. For example, the style of volume eating where you're encouraged to eat a lot of low-calorie vegetables, that's favored by places like MyFitnessPal or Chronometer, where you have a specific calorie goal that you have to stay in for the day. So a lot of people will hit their protein goal, hit their fat goal, realize that they only have 100 calories left for the day or so, and then go, well, time to eat a whole head of lettuce because I'm still hungry, but I can't eat too many calories. And the other style where you have tiny bowls, tiny cups, that method is weirdly very popular in the K-pop community. There are certain K-pop idols, I won't name names, but they do that. They'll carry around a tiny little cup, usually about the size of like 2 Dixie cups put together, right? And they'll eat 3 of those a day for their meals. And their fans will mimic that style of eating. Or if you're American, you might have heard of the My Plate diagram, where they had a little plate and then they would cut it into sections of what you were supposed to eat. Half of it's supposed to be vegetables, part of it will be protein, and part of it will be starch, right? These concepts aren't new, but they're always being dressed up in a different way. And I think you can guess what conclusion I'm going to draw if you've been watching these videos for a while. The true method of eating that really works, in my opinion, is you have to ask yourself if you're hungry. What are you hungry for? And then eat until you are no longer hungry. That last part is really hard for a lot of people. And if you're on volume eating, if you're on one of those plans, you might feel obligated to eat the whole tiny cup even if you don't want it. You might feel obligated to eat until you're stuffed, eat the whole head of lettuce because that's how volume eating works. You're supposed to feel full. Some days you do want the whole head of lettuce, and some days you do want the tiny bowl of ice cream. But the key is asking yourself day to day which kind of day it is. You can't just lay down hard and fast rules and expect yourself to follow them 24/7 for the rest of your life. That's setting yourself up for failure. I really do think that intuitive eating is the secret. I really do think that that is the key to actual true fitness and health. And I'm going to keep saying it until somebody listens to me.